We're auctioning a Dell Power. €1? €2? No, somebody forgot it in the basement.
The workshop leader forgot their power supply. It's a group effort.
Wir haben noch kein Bild. We don't have any content. No? Maybe can you try it with the adapter?
Not everything is wireless yet. Okay, thank you, Andres.
My name is Andras, and I'm a penaholic. So I'm very nervous, so if I throw up, that's just a part of presentation. It all started in 2009 when I had my accident. I fell from 35 meters high, and I survived without a scratch, just a broken spine. I was in hospital for 9 months, and when they released me, they said that I will never walk again, and then I will have a problem with spasms, and that my legs will vibrate all the time. So the next question to the doctors was, will I also have a vibrating penis? And the question was, no, no one is that lucky. When I came home, I had to spend another year and a half mostly in bed because the injuries were quite severe. I was in a lot of pain and I couldn't move much. So I spent that time to kind of think what I want to do next. I had nothing, lost my job, lost my everything, and this was a chance for me to start fresh. And I could do anything I always dreamed of, except professional football player, of course. So I took photography, and I spent this year and a half to educate myself. Read at least 300 books, took online classes from KLB1, Creative Life, subscribed to magazine, and when I was finally ready to go in a wheelchair and try to move around, I had the knowledge, I have the theory, and now I just have to put it in use. Now, I didn't want photography to be just my main business, something that would pay my bills, but I wanted to be the best, and the best in every specter of photography. So this was my basic kit. This is what I had. Not much, but that was all that I needed. And I started with kid photography because it used to be the easiest. But the problem was that I don't like kids. I really don't. And they don't like me either. So most of them started crying when they saw me, you know, a monster with a wheelchair and The other kids just wanted to push me off the chair and start driving them themselves. So I kind of gave up the idea of being a children photographer, and this is basically the only usable image that I have from the kids photography. And yes, the baby was crying at the time. So I said, well, I can do pregnancy photography, you know, and this kind of went very well. These are the good-looking ones. The ugly ones I keep in archive. But things quite escalated from here. So I could do other stuff. So this was food photography. This is my basic setup. And the problem with food photography is that in Slovenia, this is how it goes. You get to photograph the food which is meant for the guest to eat. So you have like 15 to 30 seconds to do your job. And then the food goes and it's eaten. And a lot of times I went hungry home. But I did the job. I think these photos are quite nice, and I haven't eaten all day, thank you. And got some more restaurants to photograph for them. I also photograph drinks. And of course, I drank all of them at the end of the photo shooting. This is my beginning of product photography. I love product photography because I have all the time in the world, and you can really play with the lighting setups. And this was in my room because I didn't have a studio yet. And you see it's very crowded. And take my advice, go to the toilet before you set this up. I made this mistake once, maybe twice. But this is how I started, in my room, and I called a friend who's making these clay objects, and I said, I will photograph it for you for free, put it on Facebook, and maybe someone will see me and I'll get going. And yes, I did. This was another customer. He made wood objects. This is my brother helping me, and as you can see, how basic setup this is. This is speed light, lighting taped paper for a background. And this is the result. So this is some doggy stuff, very kinky. And this is where I caught my big break. This is Andrzej Kopitar. He's a superstar for LA Kings from Los Angeles. He's a hockey player. I don't know how he found me, but he did, and said that he would like me to photograph his clothing line with his logo on it. And this is really when I start making some serious money. And I could finally get my own studio with decent lights. Now, this studio is in my building. It was a small room in the basement, and now I'm renting it. And it's small, it's sexy, and it does the job done, just like me. And then the bigger clients came. This one is from Slatner. He makes the skis for winter ski jumpings. This is one 5 light setup, which I did for him, and this is the result. This is the skis for the Japanese market. And now I'm doing also clothes for one of the biggest manufacturers in Slovenia. And he said, I want to have an invisible mannequin, so the only the clothes have the shape of the body, but that's the only thing that had to be seen. And this is the result. It's a lot of work, especially in post-production, and this is how basically it looks. Not too good-looking guy, like Borat. I have to photograph him from in front, behind, and then I stitch this into something that looks like this, and also this beautiful lady. You have to cut off these parts so you can then stitch it together, that you can see inside the sleeves and in the collar. And now to dog photography. Now this I really enjoy. Dogs love me and I love them. And the best thing is you can bribe them with doggy treats. They would do anything for a cookie. And this is my main business now. These dogs are really just beautiful, and people from all over Slovenia come to me for these portraits. David Bowie dog. Now this one, this was a huge monster of a dog. He was like, we were looking in each other's eyes, and he was drooling like a pig. The problem with this dog was that he was sexually attracted to me. And he was just trying to hump me. And you know, he was very big, so when he stood on his back legs, guess what was in my face? Still have nightmares, but we did okay. And these two guys, now they are cute, but their owner was a real beauty. And because of these two dogs, I have a girlfriend now. So I love dogs. This is my first unsuccessful attempt of cat photography, and you can see this evil face, you know, really grumpy evil cat. It was hiding behind the studio for half an hour, and then you can see the wounds. But we found some nice kitties, and we made some great photographs. Portraits. As you know, I don't like photographing people, they suck. But one day, a famous Slovenian rapper called me and he said, I need photos for my upcoming album, for the press and internet. I saw your dog portraits. Do you do also portrait people? And I said, well, do you like dog treats? Well, he doesn't, but he likes beer. So this is what we do. I did something different. You know, all these rappers are like with girls and cars and pit bulls, and I made him look like a gentleman. This is a project for another band, and also this one. This is my favorite. It talks about consumer society. So I made this like Auschwitz Kaufen macht frei. This is a TV presenter, some personal trainer, fashion, video guy. This is a K1 fighter, and I put a hole in his head. I don't know why, but it looks cool. This was a Viking shot, another rapper, and these are cage fighters. I have to photograph 40 cage fighters, and this was the setup in their gym. These are some footballers, goalkeeper, and this is me photographing him with a stupid hat. This was in December. It was -8 Celsius, so it was very cold. And some corporate portraits. So, these are animal bodyguards. And this is me trying to look tough, not doing well. And we come to ladies. This is the reason why we start photographic business for the ladies. And I had quite a few lovely ladies, and especially this one. Let's see that again. You're welcome. Now we come to 360 photography. One day I found the internet site of Boštjan Burger. He's the god of 360 photography in Slovenia and probably in the world. I was visiting his site to go to places that I know I'll never be able to go in person. And then I just mailed him and sent him an email and asked him if he could teach me how to do it, because I would really like to try it. And he did. He came to me, threw me in a car and took me to a location, and he showed me how it's done. And he also lended me the fisheye lens, the pano head, and the monopod, because at the time I didn't have it and couldn't afford it. So after that, I just went on YouTube and learned how to do these things in post-production. Now, starting this photography, I had many challenges, because the access to the location, there were stairs, there were bumps, and even if I drive on the grass, it's very difficult for me. And also, I have no balance because my stomach muscles don't work, so I have to lean back to the chair all the time and try not to lose balance, because if I lean forward, I would just fall, or even on the left, on the right. So holding a 2-meter or 3-meter long pole with a heavy camera on top was very difficult for me. And then trying to press the trigger, it kind of was also dangerous for me and my equipment. So if I would lean forward, I would definitely fall and something would break, my face or the equipment. And it was always my face. So I called my friend, he's a real handyman, and he built me an adapter for my monopod, which I can then screw on the tripod. So my face and my camera was now safe. Then I needed something to trigger that camera, but not only trigger it, how to remotely change the settings if needed, and then found this. This is called the Cam Ranger. It's a Wi-Fi adapter which you plug into your camera, and then you can control your camera through your phone or a tablet. You can change your aperture, your ISO, your shutter speed, you can do the bracketing, and it has a live view. So you just touch and focus and capture an image, and that image comes directly back to your iPad, so you can see if you got the exposure right. This is my first pen head that I bought. It's Bushman Gobi from Gerard Blondy. He's also here. This is an excellent, excellent little head. It's compact, it's light, and it can handle the weight of my Nikon D810, which is quite heavy. So I really love this head. I bought this little tripod because sometimes I have to work in very small confined places, like bathrooms, and there's no way I could get in with a wheelchair. So I just put my monopod and camera somewhere in there, and I do my shooting from the Cam Ranger. Now, when I have to go to some location, usually I have to ride with my wheelchair, and it could be a couple of kilometers. So I have to do something that I wouldn't be needing to have my tripod, because I have this huge, heavy tripod, and then the bag with the equipment, and it gets quite heavy. So I bought this cheap panel head for, $20, and this clamp. And now I can use my wheelchair as equipment. So I just clamp my iPad, so I have my hands free. And also, on the other side, you can see the clamp and panel head. This is the adapter for monopod and monopod. So my wheelchair becomes like a tripod for me, and I could move with it. And so it's like a Swiss Army wheelchair. And now I have a short movie that I would like to show you of me making panoramas. Sorry. Sound is off. That's the Cam Ranger. Okay, let me just see if this works. Yes, it does. So one day I read an article in a local newspaper how our beautiful city center is dying because all of these big shopping halls were the outskirts of the city. So many shops and restaurants were closing down, and the mayor was kind of wondering what to do to bring the people back to the city center. So I called him and I said, I will do a virtual tour of our city, but not only streets, but also galleries, museums, churches, all the shops, hotels, parking places, everything. So a tourist could, let me see. Yes, so a tourist could find, let's say, a hotel, and with just one click, within this virtual tour, he could book him a room. And it's working quite slowly.
We don't see it.
I'm sorry. Let me. I guess it's a connection thing. Well, yeah, different window. Well, this went well.
Just hit just make sure it's still on.
Extend, duplicate.
Might just need a exit.
It's not gonna work. So, I'm sorry, but this was. It was a big project for me. It has, I think, 93 panoramas, and it has over 100,000 views since then. And in 2016, 37% more tourists came to our city center. Now, there is no evidence that my virtual tour was the reason for that, but if someone asks me, oh yes, that's the reason. But basically, you can do everything from this virtual tour. You can book a room, you can get married even, if you're stupid. You can get a tattoo, you can rent a car, everything in this virtual tour. And now for my personal projects, I love macro photography because it's very challenging. I mean, you cannot get close to these creatures with this giant wheelchair, so have to go on the floor and crawl on the floor very slowly and try to surprise them. And there was a time when two joggers came by, saw me on the floor, and I was just about to press the shutter for this beautiful butterfly, and suddenly they just grabbed me, "Sir, did you fall?" I said, "No," and it went. And I also do paraplegic sports. Now these guys are just amazing. They do this stuff with heart, and I love basketball because they fall down a lot. Which is very funny for me. And this one fell straight on his face, and it was just hilarious. So that will be. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Andres?
So you're doing 360 panoramas from
Yes.
with the pole.
Yes.
What are you doing for the nadir if you're in it?
Yes, in the beginning, I just used Photoshop to clone me out, and I was always looking to spots where this would be easier for me. But now I just move back and do this nadir shot and stitch it together. So it kind of works fine for me. Thank you.
Any questions on this side of the room?
Hello.
Hello.
Very, very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have a link to the city panorama that you created? You could
Yes,
share with us?
I'm sorry, but I forgot to put my website. But if it's called Photo Morgana. It's, but you can also just type in CRAN virtual tour, and you will get there. I'm terribly sorry. I thought that it would work and that I could show you. It's really nicely done. And this project made me one of the biggest players in virtual tours in Slovenia. So now I have to compete against agencies with 20 people and little me. But still, I've done around 60, 70 projects for paying customers in past year and a half. So I'm doing really well.
Great. Thank you.
We'll post a link on the IVRPA. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Andres.
Thank you.
Okay, coming up next, someone that you will all recognize. It's our very own Karen. And
How was it? Thank you.
and we're going to learn how to use Affinity Photo to edit panoramas.
A minute, please. This is the spasms that I have. I'm gonna see.
I'm gonna cut his mic.
Classic.
Yeah, timer's good. I guess I should play this thing, huh? It works. So usually I teach at a technical university, you know, in a hall, and this is much more official. So I'm just a little nervous, believe it or not. So I'm going to give you a little overview of Affinity Photo. Unfortunately, the guys from Serif who make Affinity Photo can't be here today or this whole weekend, so they asked for somebody to fill in and show you guys their product. And I'm going to try my best to do that. And my next slide, I have video with audio. So I hope you're ready up there. And we'll get started with Affinity Photo's promo video because it's pretty cool. So let's watch it. Or it should have audio. Yep, I know. You would think I would know this by now, right? All right, ready? was pretty cool. I'm done here. Thanks, Ollie. As you can see, it's really feature-rich. I am not going to be able to talk about all of those things. I've just picked out a few features that you might find interesting. But first and foremost, Affinity Photo has something called personas, and they're like workspaces. Well, not like, they are workspaces. So that means when you change within them, the tool set changes. So this is the photo persona. It looks familiar, I assume, to most of you. You have a navigator, you have history, your layers, adjustments, effects. Yeah, and then on the left side, you have your toolbar. And up in the corner is where you change to these personas. So yeah, we're in the photo persona. You've got a liquify persona for some mesh editing, develop persona, tone mapping, and the export persona. And here I'm going to go quickly into the develop persona. This workspace is for raw editing. And if you just drop in a raw image, this is what you'll see. And the tool set changes, but it has everything you need for working with your raw images, including some chromatic aberration reduction, defringing, noise reduction, what else? Everything is practically there. Yeah, and we'll cancel out of that. The tone mapping persona, which I'm going to next. Once you click on this persona, it'll just start tone mapping whatever image is there. This is not an HDR image, it's just tone mapping it. And as it goes along, and once it's done, on the left side here, we have presets. They come with presets, but you can also make your own. Good. So, and the last persona is called export persona, which is really cool. You can just drag over the image. They call them slices, and then you can export those images in multiple formats and multiple resolutions. And I'll actually show that again later because that's really cool. So, yeah. So those are the personas, the workspaces. One thing I like about Affinity Photo is that it has a flexible interface. The default interface is the merged mode, and you can drag out any of those panels and they'll be floating windows. But you can also have what's called separate window mode. So a lot of options for your space, how you like to work. Yeah, here's the slices again. Like I said earlier, you can just simply drag over the image just to cut out a section, and then over to the right, you can choose to export that same section or the whole image in whatever format you want and whatever resolution you want. So I don't know about you, but I have to create images for Facebook, Twitter, I don't know, whatever else, Google+, and they all require different aspect ratios and different types of images. So this is really helpful because then I can export one single image, or I can export at one time basically the same image for all of those networks, right? So, live filters, this is really nice. There's a bunch of filters where you can see the filter preview. It's a live preview as you're going through and changing things. So this is a dark image, and I just want to brighten up the shadows so you can see it updating as I'm slowly going through. Mind you, this is a panorama. One of my first panoramas from the 2010 IVRPA, I should say, out in the desert. So it's doing a really nice job doing that live. So, and there's a bunch of these live filter tools.
Quick question, when you do that in Lightroom, you get a big line in between the stitching area when it gets together again.
I can hear you, but nobody else in the virtual world can hear you. Shall I just move on? Yeah. Okay. One nice feature I like is the defringe feature. It's really fast. Here's an image with a little bit of magenta and green, and it just took me no time to use the live defringe filter and get rid of it. But, you know those theta images? They have a wonderful fringing, right? And I edit my theta images. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you want to take the time to edit them and make them look a little bit better, you can use this tool quite nicely. So I've got nice coloring in the lights here. I'm opening up the defringe filter, and I can adjust the color of the fringe. And just by tooling around with the sliders, I can really quickly get rid of that defringing. Yeah, that's pretty much gone, good enough. It's just a theta image, so yeah, I find that really nice. The deghosting feature is quite nice too. Here I have a HDR image, and it looks really dark on that screen. Let me see if I bring it up here. Yeah. And you see in this floating panel, I have the HDR image plus its sources, and I can just click on those sources and choose which one do I want to use to take out those moving leaves. Because I wasn't that smart of a photographer to do that. So I'm just using the clone tool, just drag over, and I've just added the leaves from one of the source images. Really quick, very nice. Tone mapping is also painless. So again, I'll go into the tone mapping persona, open, and it's just starts working right away. I have an old computer that I was making this on, so it takes a little bit while. And right off the bat, it does a pretty nice job. And of course, I can adjust any of this. And on the left side are filters that are presets that you can use, or you can, of course, save your own presets. And on the bottom here, I made my own preset, and I can apply that to this image, and then apply it to the rest of my images and tweak it as necessary, and I'm done. And that's quite easy, quite fast. One other thing that you can do is focus merging, and to be honest, it looked really cool in that promo video that I had to also do my own video of adding some images for a focus merge. So these are all the images. I've just load that in, and it goes to town. We see the depth map coming in. And not bad. And I can go in and fix that even more. So that's that. Not bad, right? There are also in-painting tools or healing brushes. Affinity calls them in-painting tools. And they become handy, especially when we move into live projection. Live projection lets us view our equirectangular images in the player. So here's one of my panos, actually from a nice theater in Vienna, in the middle of a production. And all I have to do is go up to the layer menu, live projection, and choose equirectangular projection. And I get this crosshair that tells me that I can now spin around right in there. And maybe I find, you can't change the drag mode, so I was not quite used to the dragging. I can find my nadir. I've got a tripod I want to take out. Maybe I can fix the field of view a little bit. And there, okay. Now I'll go over to the healing brushes and choose the in-painting tool, or in-painting brush tool. And once I choose that, I can no longer spin around the panorama. So it's kind of frozen in that view. And I just make the brush a little bit wider, paint right over the tripod. And once I let go of the mouse button, it disappears. Magic. And so you can see, now I can't move around. What do? I've gotten a little confused about that sometime. Like, I want to move. Oh, right, okay. I go to Layer, Live Projection, Edit Live Projection. And now I can spin around and maybe take a few things out. Like I see this little bit of a mess over here, and I can just go in there and use the clone tool, or whatever magic tricks you know. That's me trying to get the clone tool. It doesn't work so well. Oh, it's very dark. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So another neat thing you can do in this live projection mode is to add some images. And I have a movie poster here that I've just thrown in. And we've got two separate layers. But first I need to position the panorama to where I want to put this image. So I'll spin around, and I want to put this image right on the side wall there. Select that image, and all I have to do is, resize it, move it over there, use the mesh tool or perspective tool, and it just takes me a little while to do this, so I speed this up. Yeah, you can do it with the grid or without the grid. Right, apply that. And then I have to merge those down. Merge those layers down, and now it's stuck there. Go back up to Layer, Edit Live Projection, and spin around, and there, it's done. Image applied. Right. So that's it. That's all I'm going to show you because I think that's pretty impressive enough. Just to recap, in Affinity Photo 1.5, you can edit panoramas using live projection. You have live filters. You have a dedicated RAW editor. You have HDR merging, focus merging, or focus stacking, right? Deghosting. You can record macros, so that's just automating repeated tasks. Of course, you have your warp and perspective tools. And the dehaze and curves filters or tools are really nice. And of course, you can work in an unbounded color space. If you want to know more about Affinity Photo, you can visit that website there. It is available for Mac and Windows. If you want to purchase it for Mac, you should get it off of the Mac App Store. And for Windows, you can go to their website for a direct download. There is a free trial. There is no subscription. And the last time I checked the price, it was 54.99 euros. I think that's a pretty sweet price. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot. Great. I wasn't going to do any Q&A just
Tough.
to keep on time. You know, now we're on time, but if
Very
yeah.
quick, and Rodrigo definitely
Okay.
gets one question.
Hi, thank you. Just a couple of questions. First of all, when you edit a panoramic image on Lightroom, you tend to get a line in between the junction point of the picture. Will that happen here when you do some massive editing on, contrast and lighting of that?
From my testing, this didn't happen, but I think this would happen anyway. I didn't do too much extensive editing. The most extensive I did was working with the tone mapping and then putting that together, and I didn't see any seams there.
Second question, I bought my version of Mac, but I have a Windows PC in my office, and I have my Mac. Is that can I have both, or do I need to
That
pay
I don't
for
know.
each?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. Yeah, contact them.
I thought this was Affinity.
Hi.
Hi, Luca.
Did you test it with the very large panoramas?
No, not very large ones.
Okay.
No, sorry. Hmm? I can't hear you.
How large were the images that you did test?
Oh. They're not that large. Actually, no, the last one, sorry.
What pixel size
I
is
don't,
not that
I'm
large?
sorry, I don't remember. I'll look they're on the computer, we can look. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.
Raw image files converter, is it in it or not? Or is it just a JPEG or TIFF files for editing?
The converter?
Raw converter, raw files. In Lightroom, there is a raw file converter. So here is the same, or it's just for editing JPEG and TIFF files?
Thank you. I'm not the expert on Affinity Photo. I'm an expert on Piano 2VR.
Karen is stepping in very kindly. She doesn't have all the answers here, for once. Okay? Okay, thank you very much, Karen. Okay, next we are going to move to our members' meeting. So, IVRPA members' meeting. I think we will require a couple of minutes to get everyone. I see a couple of the board of directors over in the booth.
We will auction it. We start with €1, and the money goes to the live ball. Live ball is a kind of, we have these balls where we dance and have music and socialize, like our conference. And this live ball is dedicated to help projects to prevent AIDS or cure AIDS. Yeah.